Hey, Pastor G, here is after the quiz, if there's time in class, go ahead and get started on presentation 2, which is talking about truth. Um, these are also pretty self-explanatory. How can we tell truth apart from Christianity? If everybody has a different point of view, different presuppositions, and all that. A great thing to talk to them about in class, if you haven't already done so, is presuppositions. Our assumptions are, what shapes our worldview is our presuppositions. It's what we bring to the table, how we perceive things, but then knowing that everybody perceives things differently. And if there's an absolute truth that applies to all men for all time, like the gospel, uh, a lot of people are going to want you to make a credible and valid case for that. That's what apologetics is all about. So without real and recognized truth, opinions will vary and Christianity will be reduced to a myth. We know it's not myth because it's validated in history, but whether or not Jesus was the actual Son of God, and these events all transpired as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John say, is what we have to give credibility to. Truth is telling it like it is, a lie is telling it like it is not. There's some examples for you there. The correspondence theory. There must be a distinction between our statements and the facts of the real world. How else can we determine truth from falsehood? Truth corresponds to what's real. Okay. So when you look at the moral law, when you look at the Ten Commandments, is it true that, to steal, to take that's what's not yours, is damaging to the individual and damaging to the collective? I think you can make a strong case for that. And kind of coming back to that premise of when God gives a prohibition, it's always for our protection. And so many of our laws and much of the morality that is agreed upon in the world is foundationally biblical. So kind of hitting all those points. Yeah, lies are lies. Non-truths are non-truths. We'll get into some situational ethics later. We'll talk about Rahab the prostitute and how she lied to protect the spies, and her house was preserved. And when we'll talk about Oscar Schindler and how he brought the Jews into his factory and they lied, to the Germans in that munitions factory, but he did that with the intention of saving lives. We'll talk about all that, but not yet, not yet. Just kind of pointing out that if something's not true, it's not true, and a lot of people say it's a matter of perspective. Never say never. I can't speak English. There is no absolute truth, and you would say, is that absolutely true, right? Um, but there is concrete truth. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. As Miss Close would say, 2.0 plus 2.0 will always equal 4. So we might want to add that in there. She got me on that in chapel last year. So we're going to talk about agnosticism, throw out my favorite joke. What did the agnostic dyslexic insomniac do? He stayed up all night wondering if there was a dog. You can use that if you want to. But it's not knowing. And so apologetics wants to bring the knowing in. It wants to bring the reason and the truth in. There's plenty of skepticism. People can be indecisive, but that in itself is a decision. It's a decision to be indecisive. And if the evidence exists for concrete truth, you would want to know it. And that's why we want to present it. It's never based on your feelings. I always do that. Truth, your feelings are up and down. And students know that. They admit that. They acknowledge that, I really don't need to trust my feelings because my feelings aren't consistent. I want to base my truth on something that's more concrete. Yeah, I mean, is it narrow-minded to believe in truth? Well, not if truth exists. Not if truth is a real thing that we can comprehend. It's not narrow-minded. People want to say that and criticize truth as being narrow-minded because they don't want to believe the truth, but do they have reasons to not believe it? So in any case, that's kind of the presentation for 2. And you can, you're a great teacher. You'll flesh these out in the way that you do. And I will send you the middle school stuff momentarily. Thanks, Pastor G.